Okay, time for the whiteboard. What do I mean by the whiteboard? Why we're using a whiteboard? What makes this group different probably than any other challenge or anything you've been part of before is rather than looking at each day as a whole, we're going to literally look at each meal. So you've got 4 meals over the course of the day. And when you think about that over the course of a week, 4 meals times 7, you get 28 chances to eat slowly, eat enough protein, eat to 80% full, and make sure you're focused on the things that you want to focus on when it comes to your nutrition. So this sounds maybe really like a small thing, but it's really powerful. Think about if you started something in the past and breakfast comes around and you're super busy and the kids were in bad moods this morning and you didn't eat your breakfast and you just had a cup of coffee and maybe a piece of toast and that was it. In other times of your life, I know in other times of my life, I might have just been, well, I messed up my breakfast, so therefore the rest of the day is ruined, so I might as well eat this for lunch and eat this for dinner and have these treats all day, okay? With this, you're looking at each meal as a new opportunity. If breakfast did not go as planned, guess what? You have lunch. Lunch is just the next step, and you're going to make lunch go as planned if you can. If lunch doesn't go as planned, guess what? You still have 2 more opportunities over the course of the day. Okay, so your system or your whiteboard. We're literally going to track your meals on a whiteboard or a piece of paper or the calendar that I've given you as a PDF. I love using a whiteboard, and whatever you're choosing to do to track this, I want it to be visible somewhere in your house, in your kitchen, in your room, in the bathroom, inside your wardrobe, wherever. There's a reason that kids' sticker charts, chore charts, are a thing, because visually seeing your progress is helpful. Okay, so we track each meal with either a check mark or an X. You're gonna set up your whiteboard or your paper or the calendar with a week. And I want you to set it up 7 days and then 4 meals. Unless you're somebody that has already checked in with me and you're not eating 4 meals a day, you're eating 3 or 5, you'll have some different numbers. So 4 meals a day times 7 days a week is 28 meals. In order to be 80% consistent, which is what we're going for, that means you have to eat 22 out of 28 meals to be 80% consistent, which means you have 6 meals over the course of the whole week that will be your fun meals or your kind of buffer meals if something comes up or if something doesn't go as planned. Okay, so here's my whiteboard. I've got it set up for next week, starting with Monday the 18th. And in it, you can see I've got meal 1, meal 2, meal 3, and meal 4. I made myself little check marks. I'm also going to use this board because it's big enough to write in what I am eating. It's really helpful and powerful to have your meals planned out on this whiteboard as well. So I like to use a bigger whiteboard that has the space to do that. Maybe you don't have that. Maybe you're using a piece of paper that is smaller. That is okay. I will show you a version of what it looks like to not have your meals written out on the board. So the very first thing I'm going to do when it comes to planning out my board for the week is I'm going to first go through and think about all of the things I have coming up for the week and where I know for sure that I'm either going to include a fun meal or I know I have something coming up, a party, a gathering, an event of some sort. So that's step 1. Done is I've gone through and I've put 2 meals that I know are going to be my fun meals. I've got drinks on dinner on Thursday night and I have drinks and dinner on Saturday. Those are going to be my fun meals. I know that those are the meals I'm going to have drinks at. I'm going to not plan out what I'm eating. I also wrote in, so for those, I already put an X. I know that those are X's. I also put in a note for myself. I know that I'm having dinner at somebody's house on this day, and I know that I'm having brunch here. I did not put an X in yet. I just put that as a reminder to myself. I have these events. Those might end up being meals where I don't get a check mark, but those are the buffer. So I have another 4 meals over the course of the week where I know might not go according to plan. Maybe they do go according to plan and I don't have to put an X, but I'm just gonna mentally note that they're there. Okay, then the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take 10 minutes and I'm going to plan out my food for the week. What am I eating? I want you to make it simple. Use the recipe pack I shared with you. Use your go-to recipes. Use your cook if you have a cook. Just give them directions on what you want to eat. I'm going to plan this on my whiteboard. Maybe you're going to choose to do that too. Maybe you're going to choose to put it on a notebook somewhere or in your notes app. But I do want you to go through. Okay, so I've planned out my week for the most part. I have my breakfast, lunch, snacks, and dinners all in. On the days where I wasn't sure yet, I'm gonna have to revisit. I put a circle just so I remember, okay, I need to make a plan for those days. You'll also notice I am very consistent. I have the same meal number 3 every day. My snack is always a super shake. Whatever I have for dinner, I'm gonna have for lunch the next day. And my breakfasts are super simple, easy, one time make, and then easy to grab, okay? So I encourage you all to make it easy. See that I have my whiteboard filled out for the week. Now, at the end of each meal or at the end of the day, I'm gonna go through and give myself either a check mark or an X. You get a check mark if you followed the rules that we have set. Did you eat at least 30 grams of protein? Did you eat until 80% full? Did you eat slowly? So then you're going to go through. So at the end of my day, all right, check, yes, yes, yes. And actually, I ended up having some drinks at dinner, and so I'm going to give myself an X for that day. At the end of the week, your board might look like something like this. Okay, so this could be a potential end of the week, what it looks like with your checks and X's. So at the end of the week, you're going to tally up what you've got. So I see I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 7 X's. So I actually went over this week in what my intention was. I wanted to get at least 6. So I got 21 out of 28. The goal, remember, is 22. But guess what? I am not freaking out. I am not spiraling. I'm not quitting. I know that this week I got 21 out of 28. So I'm going to make sure that next week, as I set my plan, okay, I really want to make sure I get that 22 out of 28, that 80% consistency. You might have 27 out of 28 meals. Great. You might have 10 out of 28 meals. Use this as data. I noticed here that my beginning of the week looked quite good. And then Thursday came around and suddenly, oh, I got an X, an X, and an X. So something's happening here on Thursdays. Maybe I'm super tired from the week and I feel like, oh, I can just let loose. But I also noticed that I immediately got back on track on Friday. And I did not let this part of my week influence or ruin the next day. So lots of data that you can get from this that will help you in your nutrition journey. The other thing you can use this whiteboard to keep track of is your workouts if you want. You can use it to keep track of your water. You can use it to keep track of your sleep. So use it for other things that you want to focus on. I know because I'm super busy, it is really important that I get 3 workouts in a week. And I know that I only get those workouts in for sure on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So this is my goal this week for my workout. So I might just keep track of that. Did I do that? The other thing we're going to want to use this whiteboard to keep track of is those yes but no moments. So I talked about this in the rules, and you can read about it again in your workbook. But what are those moments throughout the day where you want something or you want to do something, but you actually decide not to do it? This is a really powerful tool that you can use. Sometimes we just simply need to say no. So sometimes if I'm thinking, like, for example, maybe on Tuesday night, I really want a treat. I want some ice cream. And I have to think about it. Yes, but you know what? No, I'm not going to go for the treat. Sometimes you're going to have those thoughts and you're going to go for them anyway, and that's okay. And that's why I want you to keep track of them. It's really interesting to look at the patterns of how many yes but no moments do you have over the course of a day or a week. You might notice that you have more of them as the weekend draws closer. You might notice that over the course of the 4 weeks, actually, your yes but no moments start to dwindle a little bit. So just an interesting data point and just something to always keep in the back of. So every time on each day that I had a yes but no moment, I'm going to put a little tally down here at the bottom. So, maybe my Monday, I only had 3 of them. Tuesday, I had 3. Wednesday, I had 2. Then Thursday, obviously, I didn't really have any because I chose to eat differently. Maybe on Friday, I was really wanting something and I had a lot of yes but no moments. Okay, just be interesting data for you to keep track of. And then I just want to show you an example of how you might do this if you have like a full month calendar. So this is an example of if you don't have a big whiteboard, if you don't have paper you want to write your meals on, what you can do is use each week here and just give yourself check marks or X's. And then you can actually look at the whole month and see how all 28 days went. Start to notice some patterns with yourself and your eating. If I might look at this and think about where are some patterns, oh, I'm noticing the beginnings of my weeks are quite good, and then things start to fall apart around Thursday and Friday. Okay, so that's something I know about myself, and maybe I need to look at what are some ways I can fix that.